friends, today we're going to continue on and read Chapter 13 of Charlotte's Web. Chapter 13, Good Progress. Far into the night, while the other creatures slept, Charlotte worked on her web. First, she ripped out a few of the orb lines near the center. She left the radial lines alone, as they were needed for support. As she worked, her 8 legs were a great help to her. So were her teeth. She loved to weave, and she was an expert at it. When she was finished ripping things out, her web looked something like this. A spider can produce several kinds of thread. She uses a dry, tough thread for foundation lines. She uses a sticky thread for snare lines, the ones that catch and hold insects. Charlotte decided to use her dry thread for writing a new message. If I write the word terrific with sticky thread, she thought, every bug that comes along will get stuck in it and spoil the effect. Now let's see. The first letter is T, the sound T, T. Charlotte climbed to a point at the top of the left-hand side of the web. Swinging her spinnerets into position, she attached her thread and then dropped down. As she dropped, her spinning tubes went into action and she let out thread. At the bottom, she attached the thread. This formed the upright part of the letter T. Charlotte was not satisfied, however. She climbed up and made another attachment right next to the first. Then she carried the line down so that she had a double line instead of a single line. It will show up better if I make the whole thing with double lines. She climbed back up, moved over about an inch to the left, touched her spinnerets to the web, and then carried a line across to the right, forming the top of the T. She reported this, making it double. Her 8 legs were very busy helping. Now the next sound is eh, eh. I need to make it. Charlotte got so interested in her work that she began to talk to herself, as though to cheer herself on. If you had been sitting quietly in the barn cellar that evening, you would have heard, now for the R, up we go, attach, descend, pay out line. Whoa, attach, good, up you go, repeat, attach, descend, pay out line. Whoa, girl, steady now. Attach, climb, attach, over to the right. Pay out line, attach. Now right and down and swing that loop and around and around. Now to the left. Attach, climb, repeat. Okay, easy. Keep those lines together. Now then, out and down for the leg of the R. Pay attention. Whoa, attach, ascend, repeat. Good girl. And so, talking to herself, the spider worked her difficult task. When it was completed, she felt hungry. So she ate a small bug she had been saving. Then she slept. Next morning, Wilbur arose and stood beneath the web. He breathed the morning air into his lungs. Drops of dew, catching the sun, made the web stand out clearly. When Lurvy arrived with breakfast, there was a handsome pig, and over him, woven in block letters, was the word, terrific. See Wilbur and how it says terrific? Do you see Charlotte in the web? Lurvy rushed and called Mr. Zuckerman. Mr. Zuckerman rushed and called Mrs. Zuckerman. Mrs. Zuckerman ran to the phone and called the Arables. The Arables climbed into their truck and hurried over. Everybody stood at the pig pen and stared at the web and read the word over and over while Wilbur, who felt terrific, stood quietly, swelling out his chest and swinging his snout from side to side. Terrific, breathed Zuckerman. Edith, you better phone the reporter on the Weekly Chronicle and tell them what happened. He will want to know about this. He may want to bring a photographer. There isn't a pig in the whole state as terrific as our pig. And the news spread, and that afternoon when Mr. Zuckerman went to milk the cows, he was thinking about what a wondrous pig he owned. Lurvy, there is to be no more cow manure thrown in that pig pen. I have a terrific pig. I want that pig to have clean straw every day. Yes, sir, said Lurvy. Furthermore, I want you to build a crate for Wilbur. I'm going to take the pig to the county fair. We're going to get a large crate and paint it green with gold letters. Well, what will the gold letters say? Asked Lurvy. They should say, Zuckerman's famous pig. Lurvy picked up a pitchfork and walked away to get some clean straw. Having such an important pig was going to mean plenty of extra work. He could see that. Below the apple orchard at the end of the path was the dump where Mr. Zuckerman threw all sorts of trash and stuff that nobody wanted anymore. Here, in a small clearing hidden by young alders and wild raspberry bushes, was an astonishing pile of old bottles and empty tin cans, and dirty rags and bits of metal, and broken bottles, and broken hinges, and broken springs, and dead batteries, and dish mops, and overalls, and rusty spikes, and leaky pails, and a wrong-sized crank for a broken ice cream freezer. Templeton knew the dump and liked it. There were good hiding places there. Excellent cover for a rat. And inside there was usually a tin can with food still clinging to it. Templeton was down there now, rummaging around. When he returned to the barn, he carried in his mouth an advertisement he had torn from a crumpled magazine. "How's this?" he asked, showing the ad to Charlotte. "It says Crunchy." Crunchy would be a good word to write in your web. No, couldn't be worse. We don't want Zuckerman to think about Wilbur being crunchy. He might start to think about bacon and ham. We must advertise Wilbur's noble qualities, not his tastiness. Go get another word, please." The rat looked disgusted, but he went and came back with a piece of cloth. It said pre-shrunk. "I'm sorry, Templeton, but pre-shrunk is out of the question." See, there's Templeton collecting the words at the dump. "We want Zuckerman to think Wilbur is nicely filled up, not shrunk. I'll have to ask you to try again. Just one more, please. I'll tell you what I'll do. I know there is a package of soap flakes in the woodshed. It has writing on it. I'll bring it to you." "There," he said triumphantly. "How's that?" He gave it to her. Charlotte read the words, "With new radiant action." "What does that mean?" asked Charlotte, who had never used soap flakes. "How should I know?" said Templeton. "You asked for words and I brought them. I suppose now you want me to fetch a dictionary." Together they studied the ad, "With new radiant action." "Wilbur," she called. "Wilbur, run around. I want to see you in action to see if you are radiant." Wilbur raced to the end of his yard. "Now back again, faster." Wilbur galloped. His skin shone. His tail had a fine, tight curl. "Jump into the air," cried Charlotte. Wilbur jumped. "Keep your knees straight and touch the ground with your ears," called Charlotte. Wilbur obeyed. "Do a backflip with a half twist," cried Charlotte. Wilbur went over backwards. Bet you didn't know Wilbur could do a backflip, huh? And he writhed and twisted as he went. "Okay, Wilbur, you can go back to sleep." I'm not sure Wilbur's action was radiant, but it's interesting. "Actually," said Wilbur, "I feel radiant." "Do you?" "Well, you're a good little pig, and radiant you shall be." So tired from his romp, Wilbur lay down in the clean straw and closed his eyes. Now he was tired. Everyone was visiting his yard, and he had to stand and pose and look terrific. So that's why he was tired. And Fern had arrived and seated herself quietly on her stool in the corner. "Tell me a story, Charlotte," said Wilbur. "Tell me a story." So Charlotte, though she too was tired, did what Wilbur wanted. "Once upon a time," she began, "I had a beautiful cousin who managed to build her web across a small stream. One day a tiny fish leapt into the air and got tangled in the web. My cousin was surprised, and the fish was thrashing wildly. My cousin dared tackle it, but she did. She swooped down and threw great masses of her wrapping material around the fish and fought bravely to capture it. Did she succeed? It was a never-to-be-forgotten battle, said Charlotte. There was the fish, caught only by one fin, its tail thrashing wildly and shining in the sun. There was the web, sagging dangerously under the weight of the fish. How much did the fish weigh? Asked Wilbur. I don't know, said Charlotte. There was my cousin, slipping in, dodging out, beaten mercilessly over the head by the wild flashing fish. And the fish lashed back, and she lashed back, and she dodged to one side and threw a right and another right to the fin, then a hard left to the head while the web swayed. Then what happened? Nothing, said Charlotte. The fish lost the fight. My cousin wrapped it up so tight it couldn't budge. Then what happened? Nothing. My cousin kept the fish for a while, and then when she got good and ready, she ate it. Tell me another story, begged Wilbur. So Charlotte told him about another cousin of hers who was an aeronaut. What is an aeronaut? Asked Wilbur. A balloonist, said Charlotte. My cousin used to stand on her head and let out enough thread to form a balloon. Then she'd go and be lifted into the air and be carried upward onto the warm wind. Is that true? Asked Wilbur, or are you making it up? It's true, replied Charlotte. I have some very remarkable cousins. And now, Wilbur, it's time you went to sleep. Sing something, begged Wilbur, closing his eyes. So Charlotte sang a lullaby while crickets chirped in the grass. This was the song she sang. Sleep, sleep, my love, my only, deep, deep in the dung and dark. Be not afraid and be not lonely. This is the hour when the frogs and the thrushes praise the world from the woods and the rushes. Rest from care, my one and only, deep in the dung and the dark. But Wilbur was already asleep. When the song ended, Fern got up and went